All right, Mr. EDI Mean, but also known as Malcolm Greenridge. Welcome to your first one-on-one with Hype Plus.
That's what's up. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is man, it's always exciting when we can talk about or talk to people that, lived it, were part of it. In this case, hip hop. Let's talk about your story though before we get into the many stories I'm sure that you have created over the years. Where are you from? Born and raised?
Yeah, I'm from New York City, Brooklyn, little town called Coney Island.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it all started at for me.
Yeah, what do you remember like your childhood in Coney Island?
Yeah.
Your ball, were you trying to be a basketball player? What were your dreams back then as a
Nah, my brother was a sports player, man. I wanted to do hip hop for as long as I can remember. Yeah, ever since I heard Run DMC and I seen my uncle riding down the street in his big brown Cadillac blasting sucking MCs. I knew that's what I wanted to do.
So Coney Island, I heard a lot about it. I know like one of my favorite basketball players at one point was Stephon Marbury and not Rajon Rondo. What was his the young man that was his cousin?
Yeah, Sebastian
Telfair. Thank you.
They all came from Coney Island, absolutely.
Yeah.
My brother played with their brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Because Starbury had like a bunch of brothers. It seemed like it was like a thing.
Yeah, he was the youngest.
Yeah. So you were in that era when they were making noise?
He's a little younger than me. Marbury, Stephon, he's a little younger than me. I was a couple of years older than him, but they lived in a building right back of ours. Everybody knew about them. You know what I mean? But like I said, my brother was a hooper too. He was a well-known hooper, baseball player. And so,
When you said as far as like buildings, so that was, you grew up in the projects?
Yeah, we call them projects in the sky because they was real tall, real tall buildings.
Did you kind of, I guess being someone like an intellectual that you are, like did you know kind of is the government's involvement with project housing and what they were, I guess, looking to do? And I believe New York is home to like the largest project housing in the
Queensbridge.
Yeah.
Nah, not at all. I was a kid, you know what I mean? I had a great mom, you know what I mean? I had a great family, so I was oblivious to that. I didn't realize what I was living in and the conditions I was living in until I left.
So when you came to this point of your life, where were your parents at in terms of when you were a young man? Yeah, what were your parents doing?
Yeah, pretty typical. My pops was in the streets.
Okay.
My mom's was holding it down, doing the best she could. And, like I said, she did a great job.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, older brother.
Yeah. That was it? No sisters? No.
Nope, just me and my brother.
Got you. I'm just trying to think as far as like, coming up in the era of New York, we did a few interviews, and people that I meet from New York have a certain swagger about themselves. What do you remember then that kind of like, was there a particular moment in your life that kind of showed you had to, I guess, like move differently or that separated you from some of your peers? Like, was there like any crazy stories that you can recall from of just surviving?
I seen my first murder as a young kid in New York City. I seen somebody get shot in the head for their radio, for their boombox. You know what I mean? I was on my terrace looking outside the window one Saturday night. You know what I mean? So it's shit like that, crack vials in the street, prostitution, typical ghetto lifestyle. But as a kid, if you don't know nothing different, you think everybody live like this. You just think this is what the world is. Then you look at TV, and TV is just some shit far, far away that you can't touch, you can't smell it. But when you walk outside your door, this is your reality.
Right. I remember like hip hop, and it still does, it was getting a lot of slack for like its, lyrics. How did you like stand in that, given that you just explained it now? It was like, yo, I had a real life. This is my real life that I was probably rapping about in these songs. But how did you feel when people started kind of criticizing hip hop the way that they did?
I'm a historian, a history buff too, so I understand that every musical genre that came in and just changed everything had its detractors and people that hated it and called it the devil music, all the way back to jazz to now. You know what I mean? And so I didn't really care. You know what I mean? I knew what hip hop meant to me and mine. And so whatever they said was just, whatever. It didn't really matter. It didn't make me want to stop.
Yeah. I feel like someone being a part of that generation of the past, you were probably inspired by other music as well.
Yeah, I grew up around everything. My mother was a music lover. You know what I'm saying? My father was a jazz musician as well that won about 5 times at the Apollo when he sang until he lost his voice. You know what I mean? And so music was in and out and around my family all my life. It's just what we did as a people and as a culture. It's just music, and this is how we get by, and this is what helps us get through the day. My mother's record collection was vast, and you know, I had ample time to just go through it and explore. So it shaped my musical palette for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Like you even saying like this is what we knew. There's some people that kind of criticize, I guess, like Black people only doing certain things where it was rapping and ball playing. What's your response to that when we're like, why don't we do other things than just rap and play basketball?
I mean, we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? It's funny that they don't tell Asians to stop being great at math and scholastics. They don't tell Mexicans to stop being, you know, great at what they do. Why we got to stop being great at what we do? Why should we stop? Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's not the only thing we great at, but if that's what we known at and that's what our contribution is to the world, among a plethora of other things, of course, so what? You know what I'm saying? Fuck what people think. Just keep doing it and being great at it. Because once we stop and we start looking at shit like taking it for granted, that's when other cultures come in and then they put their stamp on it. And now it's no longer uniquely ours. You know what I mean? Hip hop is the one thing that we've been able to, you know, kind of keep a grasp on it, even though other cultures and races have come in and did it. You know what I mean? We still do it at the highest level on the planet. So until we let that go, this is ours, you know what I mean? And we got to keep doing that. We got to keep creating the curve, and we can't never let that go and feel ashamed that this is what we do and do well.
Yeah. I think with hip hop, you know, you just mentioned other cultures are coming in, monetizing it, taking to other levels. We just saw QC out of Atlanta, which was the home of Little Baby and other artists. He sold the catalog or sold the company to Scooter Braun's company. It's a Korean-based company. So this is a completely other culture coming in that's getting invested in hip hop. Did you have a reaction to when you saw that, or how do you feel about being in that type of position when someone were to make that type of offer to you?
Well, first, my initial reaction was congratulations. You know what I mean? That's financial freedom is the ultimate goal. This is why you do it, the long nights, the long hours, you invest in artists. You know what I mean? You become these artists, you know, you become like damn near like a parent. You know, they put a lot into those artists that they broke. And so congratulations on that. As far as who buys it and who sells it and whatever the case may be, you know, this is a global market. We on this planet all together. So it's not like we can just buy and sell to each other all the time. It's going to be other people that come in with the bag, and, you know, if it's a good financial move, do it. I love what Russell Simmons said, you know, that Black-owned company, this shit can allow them to do other things. With that kind of capital, you can start other businesses that will open the door for other entrepreneurs, whatever the case may be. But even having said that, we got to move beyond the color of our skin and our race and just be great at what we do. You know what I mean? For so long, you know, we wear our race and our color like a heavy coat sometime, and it's just skin. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we do bullshit to each other just as much as other races do. So remove that and just do business and do good business, and you can reach your goals and be successful.
I want to kind of continue to touch on this because I think, you know, you represent a legacy. You're attached to a legacy. And I had an opposing view on this take, because I did think that, you know, we scream for generational wealth, but every time we kind of get an opportunity, it does seem like we get the bag, just to be blunt. And I think that me being a business owner, I definitely strive to, like, you know, continue to have ownership, whether it's myself or someone that I trust, because I can kind of control the flow of business and opportunities. And so when I saw QC take that deal, I understood it's a large amount of money, and we don't know what they had going on in terms of business. So what made them maybe, have to take that. But I was kind of more like, I guess, disappointed that it seems that people can just come in at any time they want and just buy us out. So have you had any times when people try to make an offer to you and you had to like say no to, or how do you handle that?
Well, let me first say that you right too. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you wrong and they right, or they right and you wrong.
Yeah.
Every situation is different, and you got to be able to judge it objectively. You know what I'm saying? And just know what you would do. I have people that I fuck with very closely that is always preaching, don't sell. Don't sell nothing. Own it. Keep it for as long as you can. Pass it down. And I understand that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I really just feel like there's space for both opinions, both ideologies, and all business moves to work. You just got to do what works best for you. Now, to answer your question, there have been deals that, you know what I mean, we've done as a group, solo, whatever the case may be, whether it's publishing, rights to this, rights to that. And, you got to look at it. You can't have such an emotional attachment to it that you can't make a move when it's time to make a move. And the best move that's for you in that moment. That's what being an adult is about. That's what being a grown fucking man is about. Making those tough decisions in that moment and being able to live with whatever decision you make. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, this is the decision I made.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is, and when I mean not an emotional attachment, you look at it like property, real estate. You know what I mean? If you got a piece of real estate that you got to move or you can hold on to, you're not going to get all emotional about it. You're going to make the best decision for you at that moment. And you got to do it like that in this music business again, because it's music business, not music emotions.
Yeah.
A great man told me that early in my career.
Okay. Was this a great man that we know?
You might know him, Steve Lobel.
Yes, I heard of it. Yes, Steve is out here still. What is his moniker? We working.
Yeah. Yeah, very active.
Yeah. Even hearing that, it's a thing of one is that we are striving at so many different levels and trying to maintain ownership, and I think we just naturally want to see us stand firm on what's ours. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's great to be able to say this is ours and I can pass it down to my children and they can pass it down to theirs. And I think that's where I guess the conflict is, because you mentioned this too, of like, they'll have opportunities with the 200 million to do other business.
I think it's
300?
Yeah, 100 million is too much to just not.
Sorry to the people listening to this. 300 million. And to get 300 million, offer, some people feel that was a low ball though, for that whole catalog of artists.
There's an argument there.
Yeah.
There's an argument there, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'll give you an example. David Geffen, we all know who that is. Had Geffen Records, great artist, built the label up, you know what I mean? Worldwide status. David Geffen did a move where he sold his interest in Geffen Records, and then went on to start the shit he did, I forget the name, but they got into animated movies, DreamWorks.
Got you.
You know what I mean? And that went to a whole nother level. So why can they do it and take it and go to other levels? He didn't care who he sold it to.
Right.
You know what I mean? He just did business. That's it. That's what it's about. It ain't
artists struggle with that attachment that you mentioned. We're very emotional people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We allow our emotions to cloud our judgment almost every step of the way, because we are highly emotional people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, we just got to learn, man, that when you doing business, I just feel like it's very, very little room for emotions when you're doing business. The emotions come when you're creating the art.
Right. And that's hard though, because that's why I think some black artists have got screwed over in the past, because they're busy creating the art, and then someone that don't look like us will come in or somebody
no emotion.
Look like us. Somebody even look like us.
Yep.
Knows how to master their emotion. Be right there smiling. Yeah, exactly whatever you think. Sign
100%. Happens all the time.
Have you been ever finessed in this business early on?
Of course, man, because I got into this business young and I was ignorant. I didn't know
Yeah.
the business. You know what I mean? I got into the business before I knew the business. And that's what most of us do. You know what I mean? And so you learn as you go away. I have no regrets about none of the decisions I made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could go back and point out the mistakes and say that I learned from them. But again, I don't have an emotional attachment to the mistakes that I made because I understand I was just learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of look at it that way too. You kind of have to pay for the lesson. If you never go through it, you're not gonna learn. So even in the building of our platform, there's been a lot of lessons along the way.
Yeah.
And
And only excuse that people like me and you have is that, you know, we probably got into the business before there was a plethora of information now. Now these younger artists have no excuses. You know what I'm saying? The excuses are done for them because the information is everywhere. You could click a button and find out everything.
and even like not having a rich uncle, that whole ideology, we just coming in and figuring out. So when did you get into rap? Like when was the moment that you knew I want to do this full time?
I had relocated from New York City to Minnesota. Minnesota. My mother's job, she worked for the United States Post Office for a lot of years. And
Okay.
her job relocated to Minnesota, and she took a chance to just leave the only home that she ever knew in an effort to give me and my brother a better chance.
Got you.
I had kind of started to drift towards the streets, and
And this is in Minnesota?
nah, this is in New York.
Got you.
Before we moved to Minnesota.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even though they had ghettos and
They got a pimp culture
Gangbanging
out there in
and-
Minnesota, right?
who?
Pimp culture.
Yeah, they got pimp culture, drug culture, they got gangbanging and the
When you
whole
hear
shit.
Minnesota, you think it's white world.
Minnesota's right in the middle of the map physically. So what happens is, as far as the underworld, you get it from both directions.
Got you.
You got Chicago coming out there, you got Detroit coming out there, you got LA coming out there, you got Oakland coming out there doing what they do because it is money to be made out there, you know what I mean? And so I moved to Minnesota, and my uncle moved shortly thereafter, and he had a lot of excess cash because of the business that he was in. And he just was my first investor, you know what I mean? And he knew I, wanted to rap, and he believed in it. And so he started to, get me in the studio. That's why I started to create my first demos, which eventually I was able to let Pac hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he saw some potential.
So who was inspiring you at the time when you were making these records? You said, was it just DMC, or was there other people that were kind of more so?
Nah, I was inspired by the whole culture. You know what I mean? I loved everybody from, like I said, Run DMC, to Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, KRS-One, all the greats from that era. And then it started to spread out. When I moved to Minnesota, I got exposed to people like Too Short and NWA and the Ghetto Boys. And so my palette for hip hop started to, grow and evolve.
Now, one thing that a lot of young people struggle with is like having the proper support. You said your uncle will invest in it. Well, where was mom and dad in this endeavor of hip hop?
Yeah, my daddy was dead by then. He died from years of, just being in the streets too long. You know what I'm saying? Was an addict. And so he was gone out the picture by that point.
How did your father not being there impact your life? You think just being a person to reflect on it now?
Shit, I'm sure it impacted me in a lot of different ways, but when you in the moment at that time, I didn't really miss him. You know what I mean? My mother had a great balance of masculine and feminine energy in her. You know what I mean? And so she gave me and my brother tough love, as well as she nurtured us. So I really didn't miss my pops until I became a father and realized I didn't have a lot of the things I was giving my children.
Was it more so like what you would want to tell your dad, ask him for advice? Was it just more like understanding his position, what it felt like to have a child?
Nah, it's more like simple shit, like knowing what the nigga smell like, what kind of cologne he wore, what kind of shoes he liked to wear, how he dealt with problems and issues in his life, stuff like that. That's how boys become men, when they have an access to that intimate relationship with a man.
You mentioned something about moms having a good balance of feminine and masculine energy. It does seem like, our young men don't have leaders at the house. They don't have sometimes father figures that kind of show them what it is like to be a man from a particular lens. What's your stance on that? Do you think that single women, mothers can raise, well, clearly you're an example, but Like, what's your thoughts on that about like independent women and this whole philosophy that women don't need a man at times?
I think it's the, it's the biggest con being ran right now, or at least one of them. You know what I mean? Because a lot of those women that are preaching that ideology have a man.
That's a fact.
A lot of them have a man. You know, you look at an artist like Beyonce, who made a song called Independent Woman, Single Ladies. She married, you know what I mean? And, I can give you hella examples of that. But because they can feed that to a willing audience of, women that feel jaded or, jilted because of relationships that, let's be frank, they refuse to take any accountability for if they fail. Most women have a problem with that. You know what I mean? And the accountability jacket is always placed on us. You know what I mean? Historically. So, we gotta, as a people, we gotta, do some cleaning and some self-examination and accountability is a big part of that on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, it's interesting. I want to kind of get your vantage point, being someone that was coming up in a particular era and then now. It does seem like there's a lot of clashing with men. If I'm gonna be real, there seems to be a little bit resentfulness towards women, or maybe they're more so vocal now about how, like women, they need to be kind of more so checked, and it seems a little bit more hostile from men with the podcast. Like they seem a lot more vocal. What's your vantage point? Was it like that in the era that you were coming up? Were girls a little bit more, or women a little bit more like, I guess, sticking to a particular role? And how have you seen things shifted in dating world?
That's I think with social media and these dating apps and things like that, it kind of really eliminates some of the mystery of getting to know somebody and the time it takes to get to know somebody. You can just like read somebody's bio, or they take a look at their pictures and come up with a summary of who they are. But this is really just who they present to the world. And so, it just makes it a lot less, it makes people lazy. You know what I'm saying? It makes men, for the most part, lazy. But at the same time, it makes women lazy too, because women could she could put up a picture, her best picture out of 200 that she might have took, and get a plethora of likes. The DM is gonna go crazy. She gonna get all the attention she need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for a guy, he could see what she working with or what he thinks she working with just by going to a page. And so it make us just be like, yo, she putting pictures up like that. You know what I mean? This is gonna be light work for me. This is gonna be an easy night. And for her, it's just like, oh, I got all these guys on me. I put this picture up, and it just make us lazy, and nobody really got no conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No more.
I was thinking about social media, how much it's impacted our current world. How you think that would have changed your world when you was coming up in the rap game and even in society in those 90s?
Well, I don't even know. You know what I mean? There's so many. It's so many advantages to social media too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, early in our career, we had to learn a lot. We had to earn every little piece of whatever we got. A lot of people may see, the success, but it was years of just hoping to be in a room before anybody even heard our voices. So, there's great things about social media as well. I don't want to be the person. I'm just saying, as far as dating, it just kind of just rearranged and threw all the rules out of the window.
Yeah, it definitely has. It took away the intimacy from just one vantage point, but it changed a lot.
Yeah.
Now, how long you been rapping? How long? What does 2023 represent in terms of your rap career?
Shit, damn near about 30 years now.
Okay.
Professionally, yeah.
So when you reflect on that, do you think, do you ever kind of like ask yourself, am I staying in the game too long with rap?
I've definitely had that conversation with myself, man, but I really feel like, again, why is hip hop so age regulated as to whereas somebody shouldn't or should not be doing what they love to do, especially if they found their purpose. And obviously, you know what I mean? I have a career. And so I'm not starting right now. Now, if you're starting right now,
That's the difference maker.
I don't know. But I wouldn't even tell somebody not to start right now.
So if
because,
I'm in my 40s and I say, you know, I'm not to,
brother, if that's your passion and you really to do what it takes to make it in this game, go for it.
I feel you.
Go for it because, you know, ironically, we having this conversation in hip hop. This is the 50th year hip hop has been in existence. You know what I mean? And we have rappers like E40 and Too Short, Snoop and Ice Cube that just put a project out right now. And it's relevant. So we don't know how old a hip hop artist can be and still be great because hip hop is only 50 years old.
Right.
And again, why can jazz musicians play jazz until they fall off the stool?
So
why can rock and rollers run across the stage looking like skeletons and sell out arenas? You know what I mean? Why Snoop and LL and all these other older statements can't continue to tour? Because guess what? The audience is getting older too. And they still love hip hop. You know what I mean?
I think I had a conversation like this back at our other studio where it was like, some of these older rappers do age themselves, and they age themselves because they don't stay true to their voice, so they try to chase the current sound. My favorite rapper is Nas. To me, he's like the Sade of rap. Like, he could drop when he wants to, and I think that's the way. Like right now, he's about to do Madison Square Garden this weekend, literally as we're having this interview.
Greatness.
Preparing.
Greatness.
To me, I think he's gonna be probably touring for years to come, as long as he stays true to himself. So I think that was a difference maker of, like, you know, making sure you sound like yourself and don't try to do like a little Uzi Vert song at that age. Because I seen Nas, he's done some, you know, some moves that's like, nah, that's not your lane. Don't do that. But I think that's the difference maker of someone to be able to age gracefully in rap.
Yeah, man, we so hard on it. We so hard on it on ourselves, man. You know what I mean? Why nigga can't be creative and try something different and not get ridiculed and nailed to the cross because he tried something different? You know what I mean? Miles Davis said adapt or die. You know what I mean? Miles Davis was criticized left and right when he started to work with hip hop artists. All the jazz purists said, what the fuck are you doing? This shit ain't music. Miles, you tripping. And Miles went and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Cause guess what? Miles didn't give a fuck what nobody thought about him. You know what I mean? His thing was, this is what I do. And so at the end of the day, it may be a mistake. People might not fuck with it, but as an artist, you gotta have room to create and try different shit. You know what I mean? And then you always have your core audience. You always got your solid. Nas can always go and do his classics.
Yeah.
Even if he tried different shit over here.
Yeah.
I'ma still be able to kill you with them records that you love to this day.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, what's your most classic verse that you wrote that you feel the proudest about? Like, you really reflect on, I did that. I really put my pen down on this one.
Yeah, I got a couple that I'm real proud of, man. One of them is my verse on Staring at the World Through My Rearview. That's one of my favorites. Probably, you know, another record called High Speed we did. But yeah, I got a couple that I...
So you said Pac would eventually hear your music in terms of your story. And that was through Castro?
Yep.
What was his reaction? Like, was it the energy that we seen Pac as, or was he more like businessman Pac? Like, maybe we can do something.
He was the type of guy that, you know, if you believed a little bit, once he was done with you, you was gonna be able to, you believe you can take on the world. His belief just hyped me up even more, probably even more than I should have been. You know what I'm saying? So he was just like, look, just graduate high school, you're gonna come to Oakland and we're gonna get it popping. That's all I needed to hear.
And you just went for it?
Yeah.
And I guess at this time, he was already made a name for himself.
Yeah, he had did Juice.
Gotcha.
He had dropped Tupac Lives Now.
Got you. When we reflect on his career, you know, he's considered one of our greatest in the rap game. There's always a debate of who is it, but Pac is always there in the conversation. Speaking of business, I just want to kind of use this. Did you think Pac had an exit strategy as a businessman, and what was that? Because they say you build your businesses up and then you're supposed to have an exit strategy to kind of like move on. Did he ever express like what his exit strategy was when it came down his rap career and overall of who he was to the culture?
I believe, Pac absolutely had an exit strategy. Now, to what it actually was, I'm not gonna speak on that on camera because some of that stuff, his family and his estate is still working on. But he absolutely had an exit strategy, and a lot of it would have definitely involved, movies, acting,
Yeah.
both in front and behind.
There's a
the
debate
camera.
of it's a hot seat question, but this debate was he a better actor or a better rapper?
That's
been
crazy.
a conversation.
Yeah.
Any comment on that one?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I felt like he eventually would have been a way better actor than a rapper. He would have eclipsed the rap shit. You know what I mean? And to where at this point now, had he lived, people would be like, "Yo, you remember Pac used to be a rapper?" Yeah.
Kind of one of those transitions.
Yeah.
Like Mark Wahlberg is a terrible comparison, but
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean?
you
Yeah.
don't think about his rap career as
Yeah.
much as you think about his acting career now.
100%.
When I think about Pac, he's considered much more than just like a rap artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorites as well, but more so the man. That's who I'm more so inspired by. We got Nipsey Hussle, that's another one. We got Malcolm X, like men in history that gave our people some type of sense of leadership. They did a Netflix documentary on who killed Malcolm X. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you come, this is to kind of get to it. Like, who do you think is responsible for Pac not being with us anymore?
That's something I'm not going to talk about on camera. You know what I mean? I'm never going to talk about that on camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I guess like I'm not needling in that, but more so expressing that, it's unfortunate when we do see that, when we do see like our greats, and I think it sometimes scares us off from being the lions that we are at times. Now, as far as just to touch a little bit more in the Pac world, there was a cover he did when he was dripped in gold in the tub. Were you around that time?
Mm-hmm.
How did y'all have a conversation about it before, or was there any comment after? And how do you think Pac was able to get away with that, being who he was as a rap artist? Like, did he ever have to like defend his sexuality that people didn't really, you know what I mean? Like that tested, because he would do different things.
I heard Mariah Carey bought one of those pictures. Famous photographer did that photo shoot. I think his name was Dave LaChapelle, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that photo shoot. She bought like a big ass wall size picture.
This is when during like in previous years, or like when it dropped? Like,
this was, years after he had passed away, you know what I'm saying? I heard it was up in her crib. But anyway, it's a funny, that day when he was doing the photo shoot, we was all there, you know what I mean? It was at a hotel. I think they did that at the Chateau, what is it? Chateau Mama or something like that on Sunset.
okay.
That famous hotel where John Belushi died. They did it in there. And we clowned. We had a ball, that's how our relationship was. We clowned, you know what I mean? And
What was y'all saying?
like, man, what the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on here right now? You know what I'm saying? And it was different photos.
Yeah.
He also did another photo shoot where he drove way out to like a farm, and it was like a reenactment of, him as a slave with some small children. All these pictures are available on the internet.
Yeah.
And so it was a series of photo shoots that I forgot for what magazine. But what it did was it taught us you can't be afraid, to be daring and not box yourself in to one lane. Because at that time, us being young, kids
Right.
from the block, we had no exposure to what high fashion was and what, an actual photo shoot was when you coming up with different scenarios. We had have no exposure to that. We didn't know what the fuck was going on. So that's why we was basically like it was, and that was another, chance for him to teach. You know what I mean? And so we just got a chance to learn that you could be brave and you could do you as a man and still be masculine. You know what I mean? For those who want to, maybe question his sexuality. I mean, like I've never heard that.
I think it was like
before.
nose rings. I've heard little stuff,
Yeah,
but it happens in the territory of a black man ascending and when you are doing different things.
Yeah. And, Pac was 101. You know what I mean? He was a nigga that could wear a nose ring, but still you was going to think about it before you ran up.
Was that revolutionary back then to have a nose ring? Because I wasn't of that particular generation. But were guys wearing nose rings then, or was it like when he came out with it, where y'all like, okay, what's going on?
Again, like I said, Pac was 101. So everything he did was revolutionary, from the tattoos to his interviews, the way he did his interviews, to the shit he talked about on record. It wasn't no rappers talking about Brenda's got a baby.
Right.
It wasn't no rappers talking about keep your head up. You know what I'm saying? He had contemporaries that were all great.
Right.
But he was 101. Completely a lane of his own. Wasn't niggas doing tattoos. It wasn't niggas doing that. Wasn't niggas doing nose rings. It wasn't niggas doing photo shoots like he was doing. Wasn't niggas wearing Versace vests and shit on the cover of New York Times. There was no other rappers doing that. All them niggas that started doing that shit came after Pac, and he opened the door for him like, look, this is what you could do and still be a man. You could do this and still be a man. You know what I mean?
I was thinking about our conversation about social media. And I was thinking about just in losing Pac and the fashion that we did, how people bring out their cell phones and their camera phones. And it made me think, I wonder like how much that would have shifted people having some more evidence about people that were involved. Because I could see people taking out their phones. Do you think that would have like changed some things if social media was around? Like Instagram and
shit, man. Who knows, man? Who knows? It wasn't. We ain't had that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we had what we had, and who knows?
Yeah. Have you ever like honestly like reflected on like Pac overshadowing your own career even in his passing? Like, does it bother you that's what people want to talk about, and how do you deal with that?
Man, I'm too busy, especially at this point in my life, I'm too busy living in so much gratitude that I don't have any time or any energy to wonder what if.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's life is amazing, man, and I live in a moment, and I'm always looking down the road, and the past is cool. That was great, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still here. I still got shit to do.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of want to also highlight in this. So the name is EDI Mean. EDI Mean. How familiar were you with the real EDI Mean before you got the name, and like, did you have to study about him? Because I heard that you were kind of given the name, but did you have to like study who that person was?
Yeah, and I was given a name, but the name was also like an obvious choice when we decided to do what we was going to do.
Okay.
Accepting these aliases and these new monikers. It was kind of like obvious, you know what I mean? Who else was I going to be? I was the big, large, chubby dude.
Got you.
You know what I mean? And so I was good with it, but what I knew up until that point, like, was the rumors. You know what I'm saying? When you heard the name Edie, I mean, like, you used to hear that he ate people. Like, he was a cannibal. Right. You know what I mean? And that, he had 370 children. You know what I mean? Because he liked to have sex with virgins. You know what I mean? You heard all the rumors and quite honestly, propaganda. You know what I mean? A lot of that shit was just shit that, became a part of his myth and a part of his legend.
Yeah.
And so I knew all about that. But once I started to study him and, politically and see what his moves was and his origins and all that, I got a larger, view of who the man was and who he ended up being and how his story eventually went, of course. You know what I'm saying?
As far as like, because I think about guys like Gaddafi, and African politics. So I just was wondering if you guys, being the outlaws, were like studying what was going on in Africa enough to know like the weight that these names were carrying. Because I feel like it would have put a target on y'all back of just like at least let the opposition know that we stand on this.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, like, were y'all ever having those conversations? Because I knew Pac was a student and he read books, and like how like militant did it become when it was like rap, and then also the philosophy that you guys were standing on.
Yeah, I say this, it wasn't us choosing those names and you know, calling ourselves the Outlaw Immortals, and everything that we was doing wasn't just about rap and marketing. You know what I'm saying? That shit was a part of it, but it had a deeper meaning to it, and we absolutely had in-depth conversations about a plethora of shit. You know what I mean? We didn't just sit around, smoke blunts, and drink Hennessy.
Yeah.
We did that too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that too.
For me, looking at this lens, right, of like today's time, you're still here, you're still moving forward. It is on record that you are the last standing member.
There's two of us that's still active. Me and my brother, Young Noble.
So just being, you know, one of the few, you know, how do you wear that? Is it a sense of pride? Is it honor? Is it a sense of responsibility?
Yeah, we had this motto, man, called Last One's Left. You know what I mean? And what that meant was, if you walk in to a club solo and it's 100 of the ops over there, you the last one left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You rep this shit, whether you 100 deep or you solo. You know what I mean? And I took on that attitude wholeheartedly. So this is what it is, you know what I mean? But at the same time, that's a part of who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are we rapping about now? Like, what's the stories? Yeah.
We talking about, you know, love, relationships, you know what I mean? Life, children, grown man shit. A lot of my music is also motivational to the point where I want to move our audience up too, and you know, because we gave them so much of our youth. Now I think it's important to, as we evolve, the music has to evolve as well. You know what I mean? You can't keep talking about the same stuff you talked about in your early 20s and
That's
like that.
I guess it's hard though, right? Because it does feel like hip hop is like a young person's place. It's fun. It's, you know, not a lot of responsibility. It's living for the moment. And then as you get older, it's like, I need to be more mature with some of these moves. So I just wonder, how do those worlds, like, how do you plan to exist in that world? You know, being much more of a calmer place now and making better decisions.
Well, I don't want to, you know, for me, my music reflects my whole life. So, you know, yeah, I had to grow up and, you know, I got responsibilities and shit like that. But at the same time, I still have times where I like to have fun and I fuck off, and my life is amazing. I've been to amazing parties and traveled around the world and seen all kind of shit, you know what I mean? And have continued to do all kind of shit. My life didn't stop, you know what I'm saying? When Pac died, the shit went up, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I was just getting started when he was alive.
Right.
And we had a lot of great times then too, but over the past 20 plus years, I've had so many more experiences that, you know, make that part of my life damn near pale in comparison. And so I constantly have things to draw from, experiences to draw from, and they reflect the whole picture of, you know what I'm saying, my life. And if you listen to my later music, it's in there, you know what I mean? All of that's in there. I don't, for me personally, I don't like to just present one portrait of my life. You know what I mean? A lot of artists find a lane and they stay in it, and they just gonna keep giving you that because they found out what works. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm gonna do it all.
Yeah. On our platform, we interview a lot of comedians, and then some of them over the years, their stage names have changed. You know, you'll have like a Shucky Ducky back in the day, but now you have like people that go by their names. Did you ever reflect on like the name and the rap name EDI mean of like, maybe I should try to morph this or change this? Did you ever have any of those conversations?
Yeah, I done changed my name a couple of times over the years. I'm also known as EDI Don. You know what I mean? My fans might call me the Hope Dealer. I put 2 projects out called the Hope Dealer 1 and 2. Malcolm Edie Greenwich, that's the actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta evolve. You gotta keep giving them new shit to look at, and that's why we changed. That's why Pac was like, yo, I'm Machiavelli. You know what I mean? 10 years post that, he might have been something else.
I think about the QC conversation that we had. It does seem like a lot of people are selling their catalogs. Do you
Yeah.
have any pressure to sell yours and what you do have left? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know what I mean? They definitely come knocking. They come, you know.
Yeah. Recently we saw Snoop Dogg be able to purchase Death Row. Was that a dope move to see that, or how did you feel seeing that type of?
It was a great look.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a great look. You know what I'm saying? Especially since, that's the house that Dog built. Him and Dre, early and Suge, they built that house. And so it was cool for one of them to, come in and put their name on it.
It seems like, just talking to you, you seem to be in a good place. I think the world would be content. Like you don't seem overly hungry. You seem like you just, like you said earlier, appreciative. But in not knowing you, is there something that you really will want more, or want to see more happen, whether it be for your career, your life, that people should be trying to maybe help support? Like, what's something that like maybe irks you about the business that we don't know? You said after Pac passed, you were able to kind of still see some things move forward, but yet, do you still feel like you gotten your flowers or your proper like your moment, like like just being real with you? Like, do you think you've had your moment yet? And if not, why do you think that has not happened yet?
Nah, man, I've had several moments. You know what I mean? I had several moments that were great for me, whether the world knew about them or not. You know what I'm saying? And so I really can't complain. And I say that a lot. When people ask me, yo, what's good, bro? How you doing? I can't complain. And I don't. You know what I mean? I don't believe as a man, I don't believe in whining and complaining. You know what I mean? You don't like something, you do something about it. You change it. You know what I mean? And if you're not willing to do that, shut the fuck up. That's how I was raised.
What's your purpose now? Right? You are part of, a legendary rap story. You'll be talked about for many, many, many years to come. It's already cemented in history. But what is your purpose now? Like, what are we after truly that brings you at least a level of excitement, if not just content, but you're just excited about?
I have a few of them, but one of them I will share with everybody is to definitely get the stories told, not just of the Outlaws, but in specifically two of my brothers who lost their lives really early. Yafeo Gaddafi Fuller and Bruce Hussein Fader Washington. And so we are working on the Outlaws documentary to really shed light, because you made mention of it earlier as far as Pac overshadowing, you know what I mean? And to answer that question, being affiliated with Pac is a gift and a curse at times. But because my perspective has changed over the years, I only see it as a gift. Everything that, the reason I'm sitting here, you know what I'm saying? So it's all good. The good and the so-called bad, it's all good. But one of the things that I do feel like the world would enjoy is actually seeing how the Outlaws came together, really getting to know who Gaddafi was, his potential, and the loss, you know what I mean, that was for us as great, if not greater than losing Tupac.
Gotcha.
And so that's one of the things that, I'm gonna work on. Me and my brother Young Nova was gonna work on until we complete that. There's also talks of a docu-series, same vein and style as the Wu-Tang American Saga, where, some events are actually acted out.
Yeah.
And so those are two things that I would definitely plan on making happen. And
you
we're working towards right now.
And you're in film now too, right? You're doing film. Why did we see you involved in any of these Pac projects that have been coming up over the years? Have you ever, I guess, took a shot, or have you ever worked with any of these under your own like production company?
But you mean under my own production company as far as?
Like, given that you are getting into TV, or that you've been in TV and film, have you behind the scenes, like help, I guess, be a part of some of these Pac productions?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? From the albums to, the movies, all of the above. You know what I mean? Some of the documentaries, if it wasn't co-signed and sanctioned, by the estate or his mom, I didn't have anything to do with those. The Tupac movie that came out a couple of years ago, a good friend of mine by the name of L.T. Hutton was a producer behind that film. I was involved in that. I'm also in that movie as well. And so, for the most part, at least creatively, try to have my head in it, my ears in it, eyes in it, just for, as much creative input as possible. A lot of times this shit is owned by other people, and so.
I think that's a full circle comment of what we were talking about selling our stuff. I think that's why I just feel like no matter what price, it just feels priceless to own our own. You had the debate with Deion Sanders and him, being at home, building an HBCU, and then, Colorado coming. I had a big debate about it, but what was I just curious, what would be your stance on that? And when you saw him make that move?
I think he did what he could do for Jackson State. What more did we want him to do?
I reflect on what we were able to do with our platform. I did this out of my grandmother's house. And if I would have gave in, I wouldn't have been sitting down with you, and people have given us offers. I want to challenge our community of like just riding it through. Like he was there for Jackson State for like 3 years. This year 14 for me,
And that's your journey. You know what I'm saying? Deanna got his own journey. You know what I'm saying? And I think if I heard correctly when he went there, he said, "I'm gonna give y'all 3 years."
Yeah, I feel that was the case too.
He kept his word.
He
kept his word, and he should be respected for keeping his word. You know what I mean? Because he could have bailed earlier than that. That man spent his own money getting that program right. And now they to the point where they're on a national stage just because he went there for 3 years. Now, he said it's a marathon. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times in a race, especially if it's a relay race, you got a baton.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so Deion ran the race, got us where we at. Now he should be able to pass the baton to somebody else and keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Do better than me. You know what I'm saying? It's because I got to go over here now and do something great to keep pushing.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is for black coaches.
I
and
guess
how
that's where
far and few and in between. And so that's another barrier that he's going to break down. You always got to look at the positive in the situation. You know what I mean? And you can have your own opinion and you can critique it. You know what I'm saying? But what they say about opinions?
Everybody has one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody got them. Opinions like assholes. And most of the time they shitty.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you got your journey, 14 years, you know what I'm saying? And this journey for you going to be able to give people a blow-by-blow, play-by-play of 14 years, what it took you to get to this point, and that's great, and so will Deion. You know what I mean? And it'll inspire, and it'll invigorate and excite people to do great things, man. So it is no bad. We got to stop looking at it, especially us. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we so hard on us, man.
I understand why, right? The reason why I think why we love Pac in himself, because he represented like some essence of leadership. I do not see a strong essence of leadership in our community. While we idealize Nipsey Hussle is because of like leadership qualities. And I think that's where like, I feel like when I see Deion making a stance like that, it's like, okay, cool. Someone's giving us the code. Like, what's the code? And so my debate was, do we want, symbolism or do we want impact? And my stance was, I feel like he was creating impact in our own community. And then just because, to be blunt, some white folks that called him up, offered him some money too. Now he kind of like shows this is elevation. And I just felt that was, keep it in house. Let's build. Let's do our thing. Again, it's like the QC thing. Someone came in and plucked you up out of there. Yeah. So I'm like,
showed him that bag. When
do we say, we cool? We cool. Hold the 300 million. I'm gonna go earn mine and keep it here. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I said, you're not wrong for feeling like that. You know what I mean? There is, validity in that, in that philosophy and that ideology. And I think you should, for you and your thing and what you're doing, you should absolutely walk that walk. You know what I'm saying? But the right number is written down, my brother. You know what I mean? And it could change your life, and not only change your life, but change lives of the other people that's involved with you. You know what I mean? And take you to another level. It's very hard to it's very hard for some of us to say no to that.
I totally get it. I just in my own.
He got a whole staff. You know what I mean? Dion got people that been with him for day one. That they can eventually go on and be head coaches. It's just so many other things when you make a move like that can happen, as opposed to saying, no, I'm gonna stay here. And again, I ask you, stay there and do what? Now he's in the way for somebody else that could be coming along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I feel he was doing the work. I feel like he was doing it. That's my stance.
He was killing it.
So keep killing it.
It was great. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, to come from high school football, and your first job, you turn the program around like that.
Yeah.
You got the other coaches that been coaching for, they hot. Cause now you getting all the top players and they coming to you, and you know what I mean? You turning them in. So it was a lot of great that came out of what Dion did, man. You know what I'm saying?
In closing, what would you tell just young artists or athletes today? What would be the message of your perspective, being the businessman that you are, being the artist that you are? Like, what would you tell them, and that you think you figured out at least a nugget of, as Khaled would say, a major key when it comes to moving forward and progression in this game?
Man, there's so much I would want to tell them, but first and foremost, do your best to, think for yourself and accept advice reluctantly, because this is your path and this is your journey. And can't nobody tell you how to do it better than you can. If you trust your gut and you stay true to who you are, stay true to your essence, you should be all right. You know what I mean? Saw the learning curve. I couldn't tell them any more than what experience is going to teach them.
How have you used, because I believe you have a new film that's coming out, or that's happening?
I did a small role. I'm in a few episodes of a series called On 10.
Okay.
Directed by Man Robinson in the Robinson Studio, Man Robinson Studios down in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so that's really my first time doing anything serious, you know what I mean? And I have a love and a passion.
How do you use your rap career to help you with doing new projects in TV and film? How do you use that in terms of how it works, work ethic, of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, this acting shit is something totally different, man. So, about the only thing I might pull from the rap career is just being comfortable in front of a camera. Like, the cameras don't spook me, because I done shot so many videos over the years and, been in front of a camera. So I think that helps, when you getting into this business, just being, comfortable. And I want to learn. I have a thirst to learn this business and this side of the fence, both in front and behind the camera. And so I just want to keep learning. Hopefully the opportunities will flow as I learn.
And as far as music, what's some new music that's happening that we can listen, so we can see like the different sounds, being how you once did music to now? What's some new projects we can get familiar with?
Yeah, you can. I've been dropping music consistently for the past 10 years, both within the group and solo. Independent. We've been independent since the early 2000s, running our own labeling companies for the past 20 plus years. And so there's plenty of music out there. Follow me on Instagram, EDI Don O4L. You can Google me, go on YouTube, type in, Edie Amin or EDI Don, and all my music will come up. You can get up to date with what I'm doing. I just dropped a new song called Lay Low earlier this week. You can go to my website, o4ldigital.com. Check that out. It's on there. Then I have a new single and video I'm gonna drop any day now called That's Why We Up.
That's what we
directed by my good buddy Matt Sample.
got you. Lay low. What's lay low about?
Lay Low is just me talking that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because hip hop to me is still, fun. It's a sport. It's braggadocious. It's all of that. And so I'm dropping jewels. I'm also popping my collar on niggas. I'm also,
Jewelry has changed in hip hop too.
Yeah.
How you feel about that? I don't. Yeah.
What you mean jewelry has changed? It's a lot more fake jewelry?
No, it ain't not fake.
Oh, okay.
A lot more feminine jewelry.
Feminine jewelry?
Some of these rappers be wearing the chains with the colors. And how do you feel about rappers with purses and stuff?
I mean, it's not, some of that shit is not.
I think is it hip hop or where it's just kind of like transforming and you just like, you kind of respect it as a young man thing, it's gonna develop? Cause it's guys with purses, they got fingernail polish. What does EDI mean stars? This is the headline. What does EDI mean stars on rappers with nail polish?
I just think the culture as a whole, and hip hop is just a reflection of society as a whole, has becoming a lot more feminized. You know what I mean? And so you may say, the world is all about balance. So you got masculine energy, you got feminine energy. For a long time, hip hop was very masculine. You know what I mean? And it was, it was a boys club for a long time, and it was a sausage fest, you know what I'm saying? But because balance has to reign supreme, you're gonna get an overcompensation of feminine energy now to make a balance. It's like when the scales is tipped one way, it's shh, and then hopefully one day it all get balanced. We'll have a balance of each. But right now, the feminine energy is definitely, dominating. That's why you got the rise of female rappers, you know what I'm saying? Which is dope, you know what I'm saying? The females should be able to tell their story and pop their collar too. We just got to get a balance. You know what I'm saying? Where's the fellas at that not painting their nails? And
yeah, they don't get a lot of publicity.
They old school. Old school. That shit is old school down. You know what I mean? But what goes around comes around, man. Guess what's back?
What's that?
You never thought you'd see them back, and I'm seeing them all over the place. Bell bottoms.
Oh yeah. On the jeans.
Yeah.
Talking about even the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 60s and 70s, man, some of the coldest players was wearing bell bottoms. You know what I mean? And tight outfits, you know what I'm saying? And full jumpsuits.
We just had a whole discussion about the actor Jonathan Majors on Ebony.
Yeah.
That was a whole thing. Our whole standpoint was more so, at least I'll say my standpoint, I wasn't tripping off if it was a attire. It was more so the energy that he put into the tie, if that makes sense. He was pucking his lips and the legs. But I think a man could have put some energy into it to really thug it out. But I felt in that case, I feel like it was more so what he was putting out there. What was your reaction when you saw that? Because the conversation is that black men are being effeminized.
I said that was great marketing by Ebony. You know what I'm saying? It's a controversial picture that the editor of the magazine is a black woman. She knew it was gonna get people to talking. She was doing business, you know what I mean? And she probably took her emotions out of it, and I don't know how much convincing he had to do to take that picture, but whatever it was, you know what I'm saying, he bought it, and he went and took the picture, you know what I mean? And now everybody's talking about it. And so in this world where everybody's scrolling, you gotta find ways to get people's attention, because we in the scroll fucking matrix right now.
Headlines.
And it's, everybody this. And so what's gonna make people go, oh shit?
Yeah.
The shit that's outlandish, the shit that you don't see a lot.
I'm gonna only extend the question a little bit more because I feel like you're giving some great insight, at least a conversation about it. But the conversation is about like our black men being effeminized, feminized on purpose and emasculated. And the thought process is, does that picture really hurt us? Does that image hurt us? Like, we complain about like, yo, the black man, they got us in the dresses, but I wanted like, how does that hurt us? At least from your point of view, or if it doesn't at all.
Whatever the hurt and the pain that comes with that is self-inflicted. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, we the hardest on ourselves, and I get it. I understand why we are. We were all raised a certain way. And we were all raised with the picture of masculinity that we just had to had to go with. And so that picture is going to change as time continues to go on and evolve. And so it's just up to us. And like I said before, I'm not the wine guy. I'm the like, okay, I see a problem, let's find a way to fix that shit. You know what I mean? And if just me being a father of young boys raise my sons the way I think, and you raise yours the way you think, and he raise his the way he think, and be present and be there for the duration, we get a lot more of that, then, the balance will come. You know what I'm saying? The balance will come. But again, everybody has their own journey, you know what I'm saying? And like, just cause a nigga take a picture in a pink get up and poke his lips out, again, don't run up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the mistake a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, made with Pac. And at times I felt like he might have overcompensated to make sure niggas don't get it fucked up. But unfortunately, we out here with the wolves. This is the jungle. And so I can't allow you to sleep on me just because you see a picture. You know what I'm saying? So
you think the Pac was more so because he was doing the Hollywood thing and they thought he was soft, or they feel they could test him? Or was it more so just his way he, I guess, presented himself?
I think he understood the fact that we in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is what, this is what we as males, some alpha males, this is how we do. You know what I mean? We can smell fear on the next man. We can peep weakness. And so, you can't be out here in the jungle and unfortunately show weakness. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you want the world to be nice and peaceful and all of that. And fortunately, it just ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? It's niggas that will see you and try to size you up. Just like I'm sure people looking at homie and like, I take that nigga, man. Took a picture and run up on that nigga, get fucked all the way up.
Man, yeah, I don't know if I would run up on him, but I definitely, I think in kind of closing, at least my closing remark on this is that it's great to see when we are in, I guess, our definition of masculinity, because sometimes it doesn't seem like it's pushed to the forefront. So that was one thing I think, Pac had that type of charisma. He was a man, he had women. So like me as a young man could live through that, and I think that's important that we see those images represented, maybe more so equally at least. And I think that's what people feel sometimes like.
Nah, 100%. And I agree with you. And it's up to us to, me and you, we agree on that. We got to be the change that we want to see in the world. And so we got to keep holding it down, you know what I mean, for us. You know what I mean? And we let them other cats do what they do, but we on our square over here. And so it'll be a balance. If it's, you know what I mean? It's the cats that waver on a lot, that see that and see the attention he get and go, I should do that. Them the ones that, you know what I mean? We really don't need. Know who you are and be that.
Man, Mr. EDI, thank you for your first one-on-one with Hype Plus. Great talking with you.
Pleasure's all mine, man. Thanks for having me.